What is? Defeat, in other words, what does it actually mean to lose my buddy? Sent me a post today from X that said, simply until death. All defeat is psychological. Why? Well, because if there's air in your lungs, there's an opportunity to find a solution to move forward, to connect all those dots that will ultimately change your life. But there's the catch. This is the part that I think we often miss. We think defeat is something life gives us, bestowed upon us by the world. It's a letter we get in the mail, when in reality it's much simpler than that. Defeat is an internal decision. Defeat is looking around and quite simply saying no. It's saying, sure, I could have this. I know I'm capable of it, but I don't want. I refuse to march on defeat as saying the prize or mountaintop or victory tome. It's just not worth what it cost. And when you believe that, that's when you have officially created and allowed defeat into your life. It's a willingness question. How bad do you want it question? Because here's the deal. The road to anything meaningful is difficult. A willingness to pivot, to pick yourself up off the floor and continue into an unknown. That, let's be real, owes you nothing. Well, that can hurt. That's not a comfortable process. But the truth is it hurts less than defeat waking up 2 hours earlier to find a way to build yourself up to get ahead. That's far less painful than looking in the mirror and saying, yeah, I could have, but I didn't. I could be there, or at least on the way. But I'm not. And it's amazing to me how the mind will rationalize. We can convince ourselves of anything, which is great when you're your own ally, but it's simultaneously devastating when you're your own worst enemy. The same circumstance that tells you to go can be interpreted as a reason to stop. The brain knows it's been 2 years since you started your business. It knows you've been working on your health for 6 months. It knows the process is taking longer than expected. And so you're tasked with the interpretation of these data points. How do you interpret that information? What do you make of it? Is it? I've been at this for 2 years now. Think how far I've come. Think how much I've learned. I've positioned myself for success. I'm one decision away from massive momentum. It's not validation, but continued dedication that will carry me home. This is the Pathor. Is it? Well, it's been 2 years, and if I can't do it in 2 years, then maybe I just can't do it. Maybe you should look for something easier. My pride hurts. I'm letting myself down. I look dumb, right? And the list goes on. That is the fork in the road. That means everything. That's the maze that few find a way out of. Not as previously said of an inability to find the exit, but because of a lack of commitment to the twists and the turns. I've been working on my health for 6 months. Look at the foundation I've built when I look in the mirror. Sure, I don't necessarily see the results I wanted now, but the habits are there. I've made some progress. I've lost some weight. My ability to run has improved somewhat. Now it's a matter of carrying on to that exponential growth that may be just around the corner. Just as in the previous example, if I can't do it in 6 months, then maybe I can't do it. Might as well go back to McDonald's for lunch and ice cream after dinner every night. It's over. This is not form. You see how both ways of talking are, at surface level, perfectly reasonable. Both make sense, complete sense. But life is not predetermined. It's a choose your own end in storybook. The story you tell yourself becomes the story you live. And if you hear that and think, cliche live news, you're overlooking them magnitude and capability you have with regard to controlling your life and your destiny. Something like 5 years ago now, I created an ebook with some thoughts, and this is one that I continuously go back to. Quote, when I make myself the victim, I become resentful. When I make myself the hero, I become empowered with such an array of outcomes. I am forever grateful for the ability to shape my own legacy. And it's summed up with the quote, if you aren't happy with the role you're playing, change it, right? You don't have to be the one who gives in, who throws the towel or walks away. There's more around the corner, if you're willing to walk around the corner, if you're willing to find it. See, we are in life who we believe ourselves to be, and you can take that greatness on. You can become the person who looks in the mirror and sees determination staring back, sees resilience looking you in the eyes. You can be that. You can become the person who finds the side. And I promise you that's an incredibly small group walking this earth. Most people do the inverse of that without realizing it, either projecting their inability to move forward onto the outside world. We've all heard this, right? It's her fault, his fault, their fault, my boss's fault, the government's fault. Or it's simply not realizing that doing nothing is in fact a decision. When we make constant concessions, when we think that current moment was fate or destiny and not an invitation to something better, we are choosing to be less than we can be. And so my point here is pretty simple. Doing things that matter is hard, and it's hard because ruffling the feathers of the status quo comes with unknowns and obstacles it provides. A million off-ramps, reasons to settle or turn around. But to succumb to these outcomes is your DC decision, not the world. Life isn't a treadmill with an off switch. If your feet stop moving, it's because